This is the screen that you're going to be met with when the vehicle's first turned on. You've got your maps here, audio on, off. You can also turn the audio on or off from here. And then you've also got the ability to add a phone here. Looking here, we've got some of our apps. So looking, we can see where the battery is actually positioned here in the vehicle, and it'll let you know exactly what's happening with the vehicle. We're idling right now, so we are running off of the battery. It will switch between the battery or the gas as necessary. Here, let's jump into our audio settings now. So audio, it's very responsive. It's a great speaker system setup that we've got here. In order to be able to use some of these things, sources gets us to AM, FM, Sirius XM, and then our Bluetooth. Direct tune, so we can direct tune this way. We can use this knob if you prefer to tune that way. Or you can use the button on the steering wheel in order to voice change, in order to use your voice to be able to tune to a different station. Once you've got a station that you like, in order to be able to press to save it into our presets, we're simply going to press and hold, and we're saved in. Jumping to our phone here, this is where we would go if we want to set a phone up. Very easy to use. Look in the link below for a description on exactly how to set up a phone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, using Apple Sync3. Using Sync3, I should say. Apple CarPlay or Android Auto compatible. Looking at our navigation from here, so this is going to be the maps button. This is going to be the maps option here. So the maps are going to be built into the titanium. If you're looking at any other trim level, it's not going to be available, but it is in the titanium here. If you don't like to use the factory apps, that's okay. You can use our Sync3 system in order to use either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So if you prefer to use the Waze app, you can do that through this center screen here. Looking back at our nav here, jumping inside, we've got a couple different settings that we can change around here. A few of the ones that I'm going to point out, home and work. You can set your home or your work address from here. And then rather than constantly having to plug it in, all you do is press the voice button, say navigate home, and it'll automatically direct you to your home from there. Looking at our settings from here, we've got a couple options. First off, starting off our sound settings. That's where we can adjust the treble, mid-range, bass, all that fun stuff. Clock. Couple settings for the clock here. So we're currently running off of 12-hour mode. If you prefer that military time or the 12-hour or 24-hour, I should say, I'm just going to press that button here to do that. A few things to point out. We've got our daylight savings time. So I recommend keeping that one on. It's automatically going to update the clock based off of the time of year. So in the spring, obviously, we have to spring forward an hour, fall back an hour in the fall as well. Just daylight savings time, that fun stuff. From here, we've got our auto time zone update. That's automatically going to update the clock on the vehicle based off of where you currently are. So let's say if you're on the East Coast driving out west, it's automatically going to update the time zone. So that's why I recommend keeping that one on. From here, we've got our Bluetooth settings, so we can turn Bluetooth off completely from here. We can add devices in here as well. Phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Which I don't want to do right now. You can add a phone in, very simple to do. Again, look in the description below, I should say, in order to be able to find that. Radio, you've got the ability to turn off HD radio text, and then this is where you can go to change your preset pages. So what I recommend, may as well go all out and set it for the full 6, because this is what happens when you do. Jumping back to audio for a second there. Now, as you can see, we've got 6 buttons down here. So if you're the type of person that loves to have the difference between AM, FM, Sirius XM, if you've got a million stations you love to listen to, not a million, I mean, you can save up to 30 here, but you get the point. Jumping back into settings here, we've got our driver assistance. This is where we get into some pretty neat features. So driver assistance, we've got our adaptive cruise control or standard cruise control. I highly recommend keeping on an adaptive and learn how it works. Trust me, the second you figure it out, you're never going to go back to regular cruise control ever again. It's an incredible system. Here we've got our lane keeping system. So we've got a couple different modes here. We've either got the lane keeping system alert, the aid, or the alert and the aid. The alert is going to be a shake on the steering wheel. The aid is going to recenter you and pull you back into your lane, as we can see here. And then the alert and the aid are going to do both. So you'll get a little shake on your steering wheel, as well as that pull back in as well. Alert intensity, we can go high, normal, or low. That's going to be the intensity of the shake on the steering wheel that you get. From here, pre-collision assist. Distance indication lets you know how close you are to a potential collision in front of you. Active braking, leave this on. I highly recommend it. What happens in pre-collision assist? If the vehicle recognizes you're potentially going to be in a collision, if you're not braking, it'll automatically brake for you. If for whatever reason it can't get out of the, or if it can't stop in time, I should say, evasive steering is going to come into play and literally take the steering wheel control away from you and crank you out of the way of that potential collision, or at least be able to minimize the severity of the impact by doing so. So I do recommend keeping that system on. Rear camera settings. So this thing does have a reverse camera. Just going to flip to that for a second. So you can see there, we've got a reverse camera there. With the delay, that means that it won't come on instantly. It'll take a couple seconds before it comes on. From here, we've got our blind spot system. That lets us know if there's anybody that's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. So let's just take a quick peek around here for a second. So you see this little guy, let me get my hand out of the way there. This little guy right there. That's going to highlight. That's going to become orange when somebody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. Grade assist, again, that's going to be something when you're going downhill. It can help you out to slow the vehicle down a little bit more gradually. Cross traffic alert there. If there's an oncoming vehicle that you don't see, a perpendicular oncoming vehicle, I should say. So if you're driving straight, somebody's coming from your left or your right and you don't see them, you're going to get an alert on the vehicle saying that there's a potential collision or that there's some sort of a warning there. So you can turn that off. I do recommend keeping it on. The driver alert is going to be tied into that lane keeping system. So if you get too many alerts on the lane keeping system, this is going to come in and say you should probably be resting. Traction control you can turn on or off here as required. Jumping back into our vehicle now, we've got a couple other settings that we can look at here. How long is the vehicle going to idle for? We can turn that on or off for max 30-minute idle. Easy entry exit means that we don't have to use our, what happens with our easy entry exit. So seat adjustment's automatically going to happen when that comes on. From here, we can set up our mikey. Mikey gives you the ability to have, let's say, the radio not be able to come on until the seatbelt's on. It can limit the speed of the vehicle, things like that. When the vehicle is remote started, what happens here? That's the important part. So when you're remote started from your key fob using the Ford Pass app, what happens? So climate control, you can either go auto or your last setting. Auto is going to obviously be whatever the vehicle believes the right tab and the right tab. Let's jump back and do that again. Remote start system here. So a couple things to look at. The big one is going to be climate control. Looking here, what happens when the vehicle, actually, let's go back here. Looking at remote start setup here. This is going to be the important part. When the vehicle is remote started, what happens? We go to climate control here. We can set it to auto. So the cabin of the vehicle automatically is going to figure, or the vehicle, I should say, is going to figure out what the cabin temperature should be. Last settings are just simply going to do exactly that. It's going to turn the vehicle settings on to whatever they previously were last time you were in the vehicle. From here, we've got our seats and wheels. So when the vehicle's remote started, what happens to the seats and wheels is automatically going to be adjusted based off of the fob, or is it going to be off? And then duration of that remote start. So you've got a couple options there. You've got a 5, 10, or a 15-minute duration. Back up here, we've got our ambient light. Obviously, the ambient light, we can't see the brightness right now just because it is daytime, but we can select the brightness there. And you can also choose the color a little bit later on in the menu I'm going to show you. Wipers, we've got a courtesy wipe. Keep that off, especially if you live in Canada or anywhere where you get any sort of snow or ice, especially during the winter time. Because what happens is with the courtesy wipe, it's automatically going to wipe the windshield for you once. If the windshield's stuck, or the wipers are stuck on the windshield, you're going to be SOL, you're potentially going to burn out your motor. So don't do that. Rain sensing wipers, keep that on. The rain sensing wipers are amazing. They're automatically going to adjust the speed of the wiper as necessary. Powered liftgate here. So you can turn that setting off completely if you don't want to have the switch in the back enabled. Then we've got some different lighting options here. Auto high beams. Keep auto high beam on as well. So it works in tandem with the automatic lights that we've got on the side of the vehicle as well, outside of the vehicle, I should say. Auto high beams are automatically going to turn the high beams off, dim them, or shut them off as necessary. You don't need to worry about pushing the stick anymore to make that little blue light come on. Keep this on. From here, we've got locks. That's going to be some of the locks inside of the vehicle. Again, don't need to worry about any of this stuff yourself. The big one It's going to be this door keypad code. So you can get into the vehicle if you don't have the key on you by entering a 5-digit code. There's a unique one for every vehicle that's made. You can set your own custom ones here as well. Looking at a few more settings here, Ford Pass Connect. This is where we're going to have some other options in the vehicle with that Ford Pass modem. From here, we've got general settings. Looking next, we've got our general settings here. General settings, we're going to have English, Spanish, and French. We can choose different languages there. Choose between Celsius or Fahrenheit. If you're in we're in Canada, so you can go kilometers and liters per 100, or you can go miles per gallon if you're down in the States. Change out that tire pressure if you have a preference there. This beep here, we can get rid of it by turning this off here. Couple other things about Sync software licenses. Master reset. This is where you're going to go if you need to reset everything on the vehicle itself. So if you're selling it, go to the master reset in order to be able to do that. I believe that's it under general. Excellent. Next up, we're going to look at Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi and automatic updates, they're going to work in tandem. So you want to make sure you're connected to Wi-Fi at home and automatic updates are turned on. With auto updates on, it's going to update the firmware and software in the vehicle. The only thing that's not going to get updated is going to be your navigation. So navigation you do have to do either at the shop when you come in for servicing for the vehicle, or you can download the maps online and you can do it yourself. From here, we've got our 911 assist, which is going to come into play when we have our phone connected to the vehicle. Mobile apps is the same idea. You need to have your phone connected either using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay in order for that to really function. Looking here, we've got some options for the display, so we can turn it off completely, give it more of a calming screen, which gives us this screen here. Touch it in order to activate the screen again. And let's jump back into the settings there and display. And get rid of the background brightness and mode. The mode here, we've got auto, so it's going to come, we're in daytime mode right now. Let me show you what nighttime mode looks like. It's going to take a second or so for it to come on. Just bear with it. Perfect. So this is our nighttime mode here. I personally love the look of this, so I would keep it on this nighttime mode, but it's whatever your preference is. If you like the daytime mode, or if you want to switch between the day and the night mode, keep it on that auto setting there. 3, 2, 1, and go. Perfect. There we go. All right. Next up, we've got our voice control here, and we've got a couple options. We've got our advanced mode, phone confirmation, and voice command lists. So the voice command list, let's start there. I'm going to press the voice command button on the steering wheel. As you can see here, this here is our voice command list. So I do recommend keeping that one on until you get the hang of what you can and can't do with the vehicle. Advanced mode is going to turn off certain things. So you're not going to get as many prompts or notifications when let's say you change radio stations, things like that. So I'm going to show you an example of what that's like. Tune to 94.9.
Tuning to FM 94.9.
Okay, so we got a little bit. So if you heard that, we had a little bit of a notification there that it's tuning to a certain station. So if we turn on advanced mode and we do that again, tune to 97.7. So you can see there, we didn't get that same notification, but we've changed stations there. So if you don't like all of those extra prompts that you get, turn this advanced mode on. It's a huge time saver. From here, we've got our phone confirmation, and that's going to be a confirmation of a phone call that you're making. So would you like to call such and such person? I do recommend keeping that one turned on. We've got our valet mode next. Valet mode essentially locks the screen out so that nobody can go through and play around with things if you're, let's say if the vehicle is being valet driven, or just for a general security side of things. So in order to be able to lock this screen out, we're just going to enter a 4-digit PIN number. Nice and difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4, and done. And then as you can see here, it's actually locked the screen out completely. If I turn the vehicle off and on again, this will still look the exact same. And so this is not going to go away until you re-enter that 4-digit PIN number and unlock the screen. From here, we've got some basic settings for navigation. The big one to point out is going to be under route preferences. And at the bottom here, we've got avoid freeways, toll roads, ferries, tunnels, etc. Some people don't like driving on the freeways, so they don't like highway driving, they don't like toll roads, so you can have the map adjust so that you avoid those things here.